Football, 100 million simulations to Football King. Episode 41, I didn't expect it. The first game for O was a starter and he scored 1 goal and 1 assist in 15 minutes. Let me see Sue, a young shooter of 17 years and 75 days, a mysterious shooter from the Far East, who is full of fans. Live commentary. Eric has a murderous heart. Naima is the one who prepares the information. This Sue just has the date of birth, nationality, and transfer time, nothing else, just want him to be there. All the nonsense. The better Sue Long performed, the more he had to go on nonsense. Let me see, Sue's game today is likely to break 2 records. One is the record for the youngest goal in the Bundesliga, and the other is the record for the fastest goal scored by a player. I don't know if he's going to play well next. Nelly, who was watching the game in front of the TV, couldn't follow the team to watch the game live, and missed Sue Long's first time. On the pitch, Regensburg's head coach Peter was pointing fingers from the sidelines to replace him to defend Sue Long. Marcus, you played like Xiong today, you go to defend the middle of the road. Dione, you go to defend the left side. Dione heard the manager's words, frowned, and when he returned to the backcourt, he loudly said to Marcus, Marcus, you will help me fill the position. Marcus nodded. The number 9 on the opposite side was fast, but as long as he wasn't the first line of defense, he was confident he could intercept the opposing side. However, when Marcus tried to intercept Sue Long, he found that the concubines could not do it. It was impossible to guard Sue Long all day. OE's other striker, Kuntz, is going to go ahead, and whether forward Jank and Ryan are going to intercept. With the quality of the whole team in Regensburg, it is impossible to adjust very well. Basically, it is to keep an eye on people and look at personal skills. In such a situation, if Sue Long can attract more than 2 people, then the OE team must have someone who is leaking. Moreover, the 2 people may not be able to see Sue Long. In the 28th minute, OE continued to attack along the left side, and the ball formed an opportunity after a simple 2-foot pass. Kuntz, Jank and others had been running around before, making a mess of Regensburg. In the midst of the chaos, the crosses sent by forward Ryan were of good quality. Sue Long deceived Dione with a counter run, a fish leap header, and pushed the ball into the goal. Go ale. It's in. Good ball. 3-0. Eric, the on-site commentator, exclaimed, covering his heart and saying, I almost had a heart attack. I didn't expect Sue to bring us such an excellent performance. On the court, Sue Long celebrated with both knees, and the players chased after him. The defenders in Regensburg are all numb. How does this number 9 look like a loach? Marcus defended him alone and could not defend himself. Multi-person packs him and he passes. Changed Dione, still can't resist. Now Regensburg is in a dilemma. The head coach Peter is an ant on the hot pot, and he is very anxious, but he can't find a way. 5 minutes later, Regensburg finally had its first threatening attack, but the shot was deflected. After that, Regensburg completed 2 more consecutive goals, both of which posed a threat, and finally scored in the 42nd minute. 3-1. Regensburg coach Peter on the sidelines was slightly relieved and hoped that their team could chase the score back in the second half. Even if you can't chase it back, 2-3 is good, don't be too ugly. The results of his coaching in this half-season are too ugly, so if he continues, he will be fired. However, in the overtime phase of the first half, near the end, the OE team once again found an opportunity through the left side of the attack. Sue Long high-speed forward to form a connection. Because there is Dione behind him, Marcus on the right is also packing, so Sue Long followed the trend to pass the football to the goal. When Quince received the ball, he already saw the opportunity. With such a cooperation, he and Sue Long had tried many times in their usual training. Kuntz ran hard, grabbed the point and kicked the ball through the middle of the goalkeeper's feet. 4-1. Kuntz waved his fist. This ball is so easy. I didn't dare to think about it before. Regensburg coach Peter on the sidelines covered his face. 4-1 at halftime, he won't chase the score back, he will be fired. In the second half, Regensburg was instructed by the head coach to press forward and try to pull back the situation. Soon, the front pressure in Regensburg achieved good results. In the 51st minute, Regensburg's shot from the edge of the box went straight through OE's goal. 4-2. Regensburg coach Peter waved his fist from the sidelines. However, after 10 minutes, OE successfully counterattacked at the back, and after 4 consecutive one-kick passes, he reached Kuntz's feet. The captain of the OER team, on the right side of the excellent physical fitness, formed a way out. After sending out the knockback, Sue Long successfully received the ball, forming a single knife. Behind Marcus and Dione in pursuit, Sue Long jumped directly over the goalkeeper's shovel to intercept. Then with a single tap, the ball went into the empty goal. 3 balls. Hat trick. Su Long put up 3 fingers to the sky. At 65 minutes, Su Long was replaced. When Su Long left the field, he looked at the frustrated Regensburg fans and suddenly smiled. Such a scene will be encountered many times in the future. Like this small stadium now, there are probably less than 5,000 people. In the future, I have the opportunity to go to the stadium of Manchester United, the stadium of Real Madrid, and beat them up. And today, it's a start. When Su Long walked to the bench, the TV camera gave Su Long a special effect, and Su Long smiled. After giving Su Long a close-up, the photographer continued to follow suit. In the camera, Su Long and his teammates on the bench high-five celebrated, and head coach Gid pressed Su Long's shoulder. "Kick well, lad." In the 92nd minute, the match ended with OE beating Regensburg 6-2 away. After the game, Su Long was interviewed by the reporter of Kicker. Kicker is Germany's old football professional magazine, but also the world's oldest football magazine, the establishment of more than 80 years. Su Long came to Germany, often heard Kicker, did not expect to be interviewed by the Kicker reporter on the first day. This is the first time in Su Long's life. Before in the senior league, there was no such link. "Su, can I ask you a question?" "Yes." Su Long smiled and said. "According to the information, this is the first official professional game you have participated in?" Su Long nodded and said, "Yes, the first official match was hat-tricked. How did you feel?" "It feels so wonderful, it's like a dream." "How did you join OE? I see the information, you only joined OE this season." "I came for the trial and the manager, Mr. Gold, thought I could, so I came." The reporter smiled and said, "Mr. Coach's vision is really good. The information shows that you were born in 1986, just over 17 years and 75 days, and your nationality is Lingua." "We were really surprised. Do you know you broke 5 of our Bundesliga records?" Su Long was stunned and shook his head. "Youngest goal, youngest assist, youngest double, youngest hat-trick, and fastest goal of a career. Congratulations." When Su Long heard this, he immediately grinned, "Thank you." Su Long is really happy. Breaking so many records, the achievement points are there. After answering the reporter's question, Su Long received a prompt from the system. "Congratulations to the host for scoring a goal *3 and rewarding 30 achievement points. Congratulations to the host for breaking the record for the youngest goal in the Bundesliga and rewarding 100 achievement points. Congratulations to the host for breaking the record of the youngest player in the Bundesliga and rewarding 100 achievement points. Congratulations to the host for breaking the Bundesliga record for the youngest hat-trick and rewarding 100 achievement points. Congratulations to the host for breaking the record for the fastest goal of the Bundesliga player's career, rewarding 100 achievement points." There are 480 existing achievement points. This point of achievement suddenly became rich. Episode 42. Originally, Su Long also wanted to simulate it, but it turned out that the simulation required the achievement points to be increased from 10 to 100 points. The system did not answer why Su Long was promoted, and Su Long guessed that it should be a new level of strength. Su Long thought about it, or planned to keep it and use it when he really needed it. "After playing this season, I don't know how many achievement points I can save." When Su Long returned to OE with the team, he did not expect that there was a fan sister to send flowers and send newspapers, just to encourage us to win this big victory. The front page of the local newspaper, OEU Daily, is full of pictures of Su Long running on the court. OEU newcomer Su Long hat-trick, 6-2 win over Regensburg. 6-2 this big black letter, eye-catching. At the same time, in the most popular football forum in the Dragon Kingdom, a fan column of the Tianya forum, a new post appeared. "Staying in the ocean, new star shines in Germany, debut on the hat-trick." Inside is written Su Long. In addition to the text, there are pictures. OE had Su Long as the starting striker in the game, opening the scoring in just 8 minutes, and then assisting his teammates in 15 minutes. There were tens of thousands of spectators watching the game. It was Su Long's first game in OE, and he scored a hat-trick on his debut. I hope that Su Long's good state can continue. Maybe in the 2006 World Cup we can have an expectation. Someone replied very quickly below. "Really fake? Hat-trick? Landlord, are you writing a novel? 365 days, every day I dream. Don't be so pessimistic upstairs, maybe it's true?" Immediately after that, a netizen named Ice and Snow Moon said, "I checked it, and it is really true, it was yesterday's game." The big guy upstairs explained in detail, "The hat-trick is also too exaggerated." "Yeah, what team O is? I haven't heard of it, it's not a German team." Snow Moon replied, "Bundesliga, you see it all written on it. Hat-trick, the first man we left for the foreign players, right?" "Yes, the first hat-trick of our foreign players." Which team did this Su Long turn out to be, and why haven't you heard of it? Didn't you read the post? People did not play football in the Dragon Country, and went abroad directly. It's good to go abroad directly. Maradona will become the emperor after playing in the Dragon Kingdom for a few more years. 17-year-old young general, this is too exaggerated. Dong, who recently joined Manchester United, is only 18 years old, and we rely on them in Dragon football, as if Uruguay has 2 young players. This is a good thing, only when you go out can there be hope. Shortly after this post was sent, it became a fire post in the Tianya forum, and there were hundreds of replies in just 1 hour. There are doubts, there are blessings, and there are several certificates of local students in Germany. The name Su Long suddenly caught fire among netizens and fans. Everyone was asking who Su Long was, but everyone didn't know it, and could only understand it through a few words. The editors of the editorial board of Sports Weekly soon saw the fire post, including the editor in charge of the foreign section of the football section. This editor has a strong sense of news and feels that the report about Su Long is necessary, so he immediately found the editor-in-chief Chu Yuyuan and explained this matter. Editor-in-chief Yuyuan read this post, immediately made a decision to immediately do a report on Su Long, as soon as possible in time to catch Wednesday's Sports Weekly report can be sent. Hat-trick was scored in the first game of the Bundesliga League, not to mention that it is unique in the Dragon Country and in the world. If it is real, our Sports Weekly, as the most famous sports newspaper in the Dragon Country, must be the crab eater. The special correspondent on the German side is Li Qian. Now contact her immediately to confirm whether Su Long's hat-trick was played in the Bundesliga's match yesterday. I'll ask someone about this Su Long too. Chu Yuyuan also has some connections in the football circle, and there are not many behind-the-scenes operation teams of foreign players, just a few people. In fact, if you know each other, it is not difficult to ask. Chu Yuyuan thought about it, immediately found the fixed word, and called a person to ask. Mr. Su, are you there? Are you still in England? Yes. Chu Zong, what's wrong? Well, yes, I want to ask you about a young man who stayed in the West, seems to be only 17 years old, in Germany, playing in the Bundesliga, named Su Long. Su Gao was in a hotel in Antwerp, Belgium, and for the past few days he had been busy with King Dong's loan in Antwerp, and had no time to pay attention to other things. When he saw Chu Yuyuan suddenly ask about Su Long, he frowned suddenly. Su Long should not have caused something to come out, right? Previously, when Su Long returned at the end of the year, he refused the training invitation of the national youth team and broke up. The Football Association is going to report the recovery of the Dragon? Just when Su Gao was worried, he saw Chu Yuyuan say that Su Long had logged into the Bundesliga League and scored a hat-trick in the first game. When Su Gao heard this news, his eyes were all staring out. What the? Hat-trick? Su Gao patted his head. He had been too busy lately, he hadn't paid attention to Su Long, and he didn't expect Su Long to come up with such a big thing. The first hat-trick of the foreign players. What the big guys in the national team can't do, Su Long did. As Su Long's agent, Su Gao also felt glorious. Su Gao immediately said, Chu Zong, Su Long is my player, you want to do his report. I told him, it should be no problem. Ah, Mr. Su, it turned out to be your players, you are too powerful, one King Dong, one Su Long, the limelight of the new generation of foreign players, all of them have been robbed of you. After that, it's a mixture of food. Chu Yuyuan finished talking with Su Gao and immediately called the editor just now. Did Li Qian contact over there? Contacted. It is true that there is Su Long this person, there is also a hat-trick this thing, the news is completely correct. Chu Yuyuan nodded and said, well, immediately let Li Qian write a report about Su Long's game, you make a layout out, get it done within today, overtime will be done, we will send it out on Wednesday. On the other side, Su Gao called Su Long. Su Long saw that it was Belgium's phone, hesitated, or connected, did not expect that Su Gao called. Brother Su, how come you are using Belgian telephone, you are in Belgium? Su Gao smiled on the phone and said, yes, I was busy with King Dong in Belgium, I didn't expect you to make a thing out, congratulations on your successful debut in the Bundesliga. How does a hat-trick feel? Su Long smiled and said, thank you brother Su, Belgium has also reported it? It's not Belgium, it's Dragon Country. Dragon Kingdom? Su Long looked puzzled, listened to Su Gao's words, and immediately sighed. I don't know who posted it, I didn't expect I had fans. He did not expect that his game in OE would cause heated discussion among domestic fans so quickly. Sports Weekly wants to report on my game, no problem, I have also watched Sports Weekly since I was a child, and you know that my dad is a fan and must buy every 135. After Su Long hung up the phone, he immediately registered the Tianya forum and could see that his fire post was on the homepage. Nima, it's more than 100 pages. Su Long turned page by page, secretly replying with a trumpet, and was very happy. As for the newspaper thing, Su Long forgot. Until noon on Wednesday, Su Mama called Su Long and said very excitedly, "Son, you are in the newspaper." Su Long remembered that he was going to go to the newspaper. "What it looks like, shoot it for me." "Well, I'll shoot it later. This newspaper, we bought 10 copies, collected as a souvenir." "My son's first professional game, his first newspaper." Su Long smiled and said, "Mom, I will often go to the newspaper in the future." On the morning of the match day on February 8, Mama Su called again and told Su Long that she had set up a fan association. "What?" Su Long was stunned. "Does he still have a fan club?" Mama Su said proudly, "I am the vice president of the fan association. And the owner of the bar, Su Long Bar, is also me." Su Long was stunned again. "Mom, will you use a computer?" "Oh, son, you underestimate your mother?" "No, just surprised." "So who is the president?" "Oh, it's a German student. She said she will go to the scene to support you in today's competition." "Son, today's game, come on." "Got it, Mom." The call didn't last long, because there was still a game in the afternoon. Today's game is OE's home game against Trier. Trier is located in the southwest of Germany, and the team is at the middle of the Bundesliga, winning the last 2 games and returning to form. But OE's goal today is to win this victory. Today's Main Stadium is full of people and is rarely full. Fans from all over OE town came. In the last away game against Regensburg, OER fans failed to witness this home game, and they naturally could not let it go. As a result, it is rare to see 15,000 seats full. And Dragon Country fans in nearby cities. In several places, you can see the Dragon Country fans with the national flag on their faces and the bright red Dragon Country flag. In the words of the Tianya Forum, from today onwards, the OE team is our home. Episode 43, OER's match against Trier, began amid cheers from the fans. Just 4 minutes into the opening, the fans cheered. "Go AAL." "Scored." The live commentary exclaimed. Just 4 minutes into the opening game, a wonderful fit from the O front. Frontback Jank got the ball in midfield, then went straight to the right. Koons crossed in front of goal. Subao broke the goal, 1-0. Su again. This is Su's 4th goal. Oh my god, let's take another look at the replay. Trier's head coach, Linz, was so angry that he threw the book directly to the ground. He spent a week specifically targeting Su Long's restrictive tactics, and the fart was useless. Under the huge gap in the strength of the players, any tactic is a floating cloud. After that, OE completely pressed Trier. In the 25th minute, the fans cheered again. "Su! Shoot! Su! Shoot!" Jank launched an attack with a long pass, and Su Long received the ball on the left side to break through the box. Su made a brilliant breakthrough. Su was put down in the penalty area. The referee pulled out the card, the yellow card of the number 3 player Trier. Penalty kick. Su made a successful penalty. Captain Koons, penalty. The live commentary roared excitedly, and the voice began to be a little hoarse. Trier's defender was innocently defending, but the referee decided to award a penalty. Captain Koons took the penalty and fired a powerful right-footed shot into the right side of the goal to score a penalty. 2-0. The OE flag on the sidelines was flying, and the fans were roaring, cheering for the home team. Enter the 10-8s of the pedal horses again. Next, Su Long found that when the opposing defender faced himself, he deliberately pulled away from a position and did not give himself too many opportunities to break through. But things are two-sided. The defender retreats and there is room to get the ball out. In the 41st minute, Su Long received the ball outside the penalty area, got rid of the defender, and shot with a big foot. The goalkeeper on the opposite side had not yet reacted and the ball had already slammed into the goal. 3-0. Oh my god. Su is like a god descending, 41 minutes, 2 degrees. And the second penalty was also made by Su, 3-0, 3 goals are all about Su. This 17-year-old young player of Dragon Country, it is amazing. A whirlwind of the mysterious East was set off on the Bundesliga battlefield. The fans are singing, "When did the OE team have such an advantageous game? Today is the holiday of OER fans." In the 46th minute, Trier finally had his first chance, when striker Paczynski shot from inside the penalty area, but unfortunately the angle was too good and was confiscated by the goalkeeper. In the second half, the two sides fought again. In the 50th minute, Koons forced a break from the left side of the field to cross the ball and Su Long jumped high in the box and headed the ball into the goal. Su again. Header on goal. Yes. Go AL. Scored. The words of the on-site commentary were as fast and powerful as cannonballs, and the voices were hoarse. Today's game, not husky, can't do it. This Sue is really impossible to calm down. Whenever I was ready to calm down, suddenly a thunderbolt exploded. 4-0. In both games, it was a big lead. One of the biggest contributors is Sue, who has just joined the team. This 17-year-old is bound to shine in the 5 major leagues. Let me see, 2 hat tricks in a row in the Bundesliga, he is the youngest. And it's only 50 minutes now, and we can still look forward to Sue Long's next goal. The Dragon Country fans on the sidelines, waving the Dragon Country flag, proudly said to the fans next to them that this is our Dragon Country player. Just a few years ago, the 2 international footballers who stayed in Germany to play football, Jong and Sia, left Germany one after another, and since then there has been no home team in Germany. But now it's different. Germany's new home of Dragon Country is OG. And not long ago, Sue Long's status in the O team is a core offensive player. Just landed in the Bundesliga and scored 2 hat tricks in 2 matches. Dragon Country fans feel a great honor and great satisfaction. I have decided that from today onwards, for the OE's home game, I will not miss a single one. Are you from Twickau? Let's come together for the next game, and me, shall we form a Q group? At 70 minutes, Sue Long made a replacement. The fans were shouting Sue, Sue, Sue. The cameras broadcast on the sidelines TV were all aimed at Sue Long, filming the entire process of Sue Long's return to the bench. Gerd smiled and patted Sue Long's shoulder. 2 hat tricks in a row that even Gerd hadn't thought about. It's crazy. In the 93rd minute, the match ended with OE beating Trier 4-0 at home. Sue Long hat trick. After the game, it was the interview with the reporter of the kicker. Congratulations Sue, hat trick again. Can you tell us how you feel today? Oh, I feel great, I'm very happy to get a hat trick. It was the team's efforts that made today's big win. After saying that, Sue Long slipped away. The reporter of the kicker is speechless. Can't you say 2 more words? Sue Long had just come out of the stadium when he met the Dragon Country fans. The 3 young sisters were waiting at the entrance of the stadium, and when they saw Sue Long appear, their eyes lit up. Sue Long. Sue Long, I am a fan of yours. Sue Long smiled and waved at them. Hello guys. You're amazing today. Can I take a picture? The little sister asked nervously. Sue Long nodded, and the 3 young ladies cheered with joy. Great, I'm going to send it back to my dad after the shoot. Yeah, my brother and my dad envy me for being here. After the young ladies took a few photos with Sue Long, they asked Sue Long for an autograph and watched Sue Long leave. At the same time, the manuscript of Li Qian, a special reporter of the Sports Weekly, was also sent to the mailbox of the editor-in-chief, Chu Yuyuan. Now Sports Weekly is waiting for the manuscript of this game, which will be completed before 12 o'clock tonight. Because February 8th is Sunday, this manuscript is going to be left on Monday's foreign page. Last week's report about Sue Long, the response was very good. Readers have reflected that they want to know more about this German young general Sue Long. Chu Yuyuan personally came to review the manuscript, opened the mailbox of the manuscript and looked dumbfounded. Hat trick? Is this a mistake to send the manuscript of the last week's game again? Chu Yuyuan looked at it carefully. Yes, it was OE's match against Trier today. Wouldn't it, hat trick again? Chu Yuyuan took a deep breath and immediately called his hand to contact Li Qian, a special reporter from Germany, and soon got repeated confirmation from Li Qian. In addition, the real-time scores on the major German football websites are also clearly indicated. Sue Long really was another hat trick. I can't help it. Chu Yuyuan has a feeling that as soon as tomorrow's Sports Weekly report starts selling, the fans of Longwo will go crazy. Episode 44. In a German football Serie B game that ended on February 8 CZ, the OE team played by Dragon Country player Sue Long won the second victory of 2004 with a 4-0 victory over Trier at home. Sue Long scored a hat trick in this game. After the victory was decided, Sue Long was replaced by manager Gold, and when he left the game, he won the standing applause of the fans, while the German media called Sue Long the Dragon of the East after the game. Sue Dad looked at the Sports Weekly in his hand, a question mark on his face. Is this my son? Since the Sports Weekly closely followed Sue Long's competition record, Sue Dad Sue Mom has saved a lot of phone bills, and can directly see Sue Long's news from the Sports Weekly news. What Sue Dad didn't expect was that his son seemed to be really strong in Germany. Although it is said to be the Bundesliga, 2 consecutive hat tricks are unprecedented among the players in the Dragon Kingdom. And my son is only 17 years old. After his son refused the call of Manchester United before, although Sue Dad did not object, he still had some regrets in his heart. How to say, Manchester United is also a world-class big team. In particular, knowing that after Sue Long rejected Manchester United signed another young player, Dong Wang, for £3.5 million, breaking the transfer fee record of Dragon Country players, and Su Dad was envious. But now seeing Su Long's superior performance in the Bundesliga league, Su Dad's previous envy of King Dong has suddenly disappeared. Moreover, Su Dad, who reads football newspapers all day, also knows that after King Dong went to Manchester United, he was still sent to the First League to exercise. The son is right, going to the big house is not as good as expected. Now his son's performance in the Bundesliga is not much better than King Dong's. On Tuesday morning, Nelly came over with a copy of Kicker magazine. Su, congratulations! Selected for the Bundesliga best team in 2 consecutive rounds. Since the appearance of Su Long, most of the girls in the class have become fans of the OEU team, mainly Su Long's fans. Su Long felt that he was unremarkable, and he couldn't understand why these blonde waves were so enthusiastic about themselves, and they were embarrassed to make themselves. During the afternoon training, Su Long learned from his teammates that the head coach of Regensburg was out of class, and the head coach of Trier was also out of class. Su, you're still good, play 1 game, 1 manager is out of class, 2 games are played, 2 head coaches are out of class. Jank said with a smile. Su Long was speechless. What does this have to do with me? You've all scored a hat-trick, and it's none of your business? Yeah, for 5 goals per game, the coach on the other side doesn't have to go to class. Kuntz smiled and said, Su, you ignore them, that's how you score. Next game, try to score another hat-trick and keep the Berlin United head coach out of class. On February 15, the 20th round, OER played away to Berlin United matchday, at 3 p.m. The stadium next to the Old Woods, the home of the Berlin Union, has more than 20,000 spectators, and it is full. The home of the Berlin Union, the Old Forest Yard, opened in 1920 as Germany's largest single-purpose football stadium, with a capacity of 22,012 people and only 3,617 seats, the rest of which are standing. Su Long came to the stadium with the team, and it was obvious that there were more fans in this game than in the previous 2 games. The enthusiasm of the fans, the noise of the scene, made the players start to stir. Su Long warmed up on the side of the stadium and could hear the audience singing on the stage. Kuntz looked at Su Long with a curious look and explained, this is the anthem of the Berlin Union. Sounds pretty good. Yes, this Iron League song was created by Nina Hagen. Next to Jank added, it is a famous German singer. Su Long was stunned, a Bundesliga team, there are even famous singers to write songs? Berlin United side manager Vodowa is instructing the players. Defense. Our first priority is to defend. Pius G, Fighter, Hickett, Sandman, the 4 of you are rounding up to kill Schuren, and at all times make sure that there are at least 3 people around him and don't give him a chance to catch the ball. Page, Fieder, Hickett and Sandman were the last backlands of the Berlin United, and today the Berlin United were putting up a defensive lineup of 442. Although it is the home of Berlin United, before the game, manager Wodowa had set the tone of the game. Then defend. Fight for a goal and fight defensively. Wodowa watched OE's first 2 games and was troubled by the attacking power shown by Su Long. In just 1 week, only such a strategy can be used. He doesn't want to be fired like the head coach of Regensburg and the head coach of Trier. The game starts with starters from both sides, coming on. At this time, Su Long had not yet found anything wrong. But soon, within 5 minutes, Su Long discovered that Berlin United was swinging the bus at goal. And within 3 meters of himself, he arranged 3 defensive players to keep an eye on himself, so that he could not receive the ball very comfortably. 15 minutes have passed and OE has not found a good chance. On the contrary, Berlin United had 2 defensive counterattacks that were very threatening. Fortunately, the attack on the side of Berlin United was also very rookie, both playing high, otherwise OE would have conceded the ball first. I have to say that the Berlin United did a good job of this tactical response, but also hit OE by surprise. The manager on the sidelines, Gold, was also dumbfounded, and he did not expect Berlin United to be so intimidated. The Berlin Union is too tortoise today. Gerd is a little worried now. 2 consecutive big wins have made Golder a little careless, and this week's training basically did not do much training to crack the bus tactics, because he could not imagine that Berlin United would be a turtle at home. It also arranged a number of players to surround Su Long. This is simply hitting the door of OE's life. As soon as Su Long saw that he was rooted in the front, there were always 3 or 4 big men around, and there was no good chance at all, so he simply withdrew to meet and see if there was a solution. Su Long retreated, and the 3 defenders on the Berlin United side did not hesitate to follow up. After all, before the game, the head coach repeatedly told him to keep an eye on Su Long. The Berlin United defender went after Su Long, so the midfielder, who was originally the second line of defense, naturally stepped back to make up for it. However, when the defender and the midfield area exchanged turf, Su Long saw the opportunity. Koons plunged straight into the penalty area, Su Long crossed and the ball went into the box. The players of the Berlin United immediately broke out in a cold sweat and rushed back. It would have been a good chance, but the Koons stopped the ball. By the time Koons stopped the ball, he had lost his best chance, and the ball was kicked directly off the sideline by the defender behind him. Corner kick. The players of Berlin United are densely packed in the box. The corner kick still didn't have a good chance and was pushed out of the box by the players of Berlin United. Su Long had been looking for an opportunity on the edge of the penalty area, saw the ball being pushed out, suddenly accelerated, and intercepted the ball. Then pull away and shoot sideways directly at the goal. Bang! With a loud bang, the opposing goalkeeper has not yet reacted, and the ball has been hanging into the net. 1-0. Su Long ecstasy. The teammates came up to celebrate, and Su Long seized the opportunity to say to the teammates, "We are now in the lead, waiting for the opposite side to make mistakes." "They can't be turtles," the teammates nodded violently. The live commentary of the Bundesliga sighed and said, "For 31 minutes, the Berlin Union could not resist OE's chariot and was rumbling and captured. This game still revolves around number 9, Su Long." Su became the winner and loser of this game. In the first 30 minutes, Su Long didn't have a chance to shoot, and in 31 minutes, Su Long had a long-range shot that worked. We can see that in this game, Berlin United is mainly defending. But now that you're one goal behind, is this dead-back tactic still useful? Let's see what more effective response Berlin United has next. Berlin United coach Wodowa on the sidelines pinched his head and had a headache. Defended against the number 9 Su's penalty area threat, only to be broken through the goal by a long-range shot. With O leading the way, the Berlin Union's bus tactics were untenable. Berlin United tried to recover a goal and defend, but they couldn't get to the shore at either end. In the 59th minute of the second half, Su Long received the ball and 4 defenders around him immediately surrounded him. Suddenly, the ball flew out of the Berlin United circle and landed in the penalty area in front of Koons. Su's heel pass. Koons is undefended. Koons was comfortable stopping the ball, barely making any adjustments, shooting hard. Go Ale. It's in. 2-0. Koons opened his hands with a smile on his face and gave Su Long a high five. Su Long's arrival did make his tactical status drop a lot, but it did not affect his goal. On the contrary, it is because Su Long attracts the attention of the other party, allowing Koons to get a much better offensive environment than before. It's Su's second pass again. A very precious goal, before the end of the first half. Does the Berlin Union still have a chance? I don't see much of a chance. There are only 30 minutes left, and if Berlin United let go and play, they first have to worry about whether they can bear the firepower of OE. As the live commentary said, Berlin United are 2 goals behind and there are no good options. Either choose to pull away from the formation, attack with all your might, and redeem the defeat. If you can't score a goal, then you're dead. Either continue to defend with all your might, and if the other side does not give the opportunity, then it will remain 0-2, which is also a loser. Originally a small negative like 0-1, the face will look better. But now 0-2, Wodowa feels like he's going to be cold. Episode 45. It's a little tough for the Berlin Union now. O has launched another ferocious offensive. Su's header on goal. Top off, what a great opportunity. Be careful, UBM just conceded a goal in a very dangerous area. Now Su holds the ball goes into the box, and Jank shoots at goal. Hit the doorpost. In the last 30 minutes of the second half, the Air players were not very lucky, and they were always a little bit worse off from the goal. But OE pressed Berlin United to play, and the Berlin United ball could not pass the half. The fans of the Berlin United looked straight and shook their heads and left the field. In the end, the match was over, the score was fixed at 0-2, and OE scored 3 points away. After chatting with his teammates in the away locker room for a while, Su Long went out to be interviewed by reporters. Today it's not Kicker, it's the reporter for Bild. Founded on July 24, 1952, Bild is the largest circulation daily newspaper in Germany and Europe, and its daily layout is very rich, while his sports section is the most popular. Su, good evening. Good evening. You scored again in tonight's game and helped the team win. How did you feel? I was very happy in this game. I was able to score 3 points, and I was very happy about the result and the process of winning. Su Long chatted for a while, then left with the large troops. After the break of the game the next day, Su Long used his mobile phone to access the internet and saw the report of yesterday's game on the website of Kickers. Dragonstorm of the Bundesliga. In a German Serie B round 20 match that ended in the early hours of this morning, Su Long once again shined in the Bundesliga field. A goal in 31 minutes and an effective assist in 60 minutes became the winner of the game. Since the end of the winter break, OE has won 3 games in a row, the most important of which is Su, who will stop Su, who will stop OE. Soon, Su Long was on the Dragon Kingdom Sohu network, and also saw Dragon Country Storm in the Bundesliga. Translation. It was sent by Li Qian, a special correspondent of Sports Weekly. The special correspondent directly translated the report on the Kicker website and sent it out as his own article. Su Long is also admired. It turned out that there was a Chinese translation in 2004. Then take a stroll around the Tianya forum. Last night's match post has still become one of the hottest posts in football. There are fans in it, and naturally, there is also black powder. Some black fans said that the Bundesliga is only a second-level league, and the level is very low, far inferior to the Chinese Super League. Some black fans said that Xia Hui, a player who scored 14 goals in the Bundesliga for a season, could not be mixed up in the Chinese Super League. Su Long was nothing, don't have a little achievement on the tail cocked. Some sane black fans said that Su Long's opponents who played well in these games are the weakest team in the Bundesliga, and although the goals are good, there is no gold content. Su Long was preparing to use the trumpet to connect with the black fans when Su Gao's call came. Brother Su. Have you returned to your home country? Back home, have you eaten? After the two exchanged 2 words of greeting, Su Gao said the right thing. After all, the cross-ocean telephone is more expensive. It turned out that Lu Ming resigned from the head coach position of Guoqing. The current head coach is called Yin Taijun. He has the idea of recruiting Su Long into the national youth team and wants to say hello to Su Long in advance. However, before hearing that Su Long seemed to be dissatisfied with their national youth team, he asked Su Gao to explore the mouth. When Su Long heard Su Gao's words, he immediately smiled and said, Brother Su, you know me, I am willing to play for the country, but I need to go back after the end of the 34th round of the Bundesliga on May 23rd, and the fastest time to return to China is probably also on May 26th. Is there any problem? No problem, coaching told me there, as long as you come back as soon as possible. He is very optimistic about you. That line, my side is no problem, I am willing to serve the country. After hanging up the phone, Su Long smiled. I didn't expect that things in the national youth team would turn around like this. At dinner, Su Long was eating in the cafeteria, just in time to see the Saxony State Soccer program on the TV. It was a program on Saxony's regional television station, and the host and 2 guests were chatting about the Bundesliga in Saxony. The 2 guests are former international Kepke and former international Basel, both of whom have played in the Bundesliga. When it comes to the Bundesliga, it's important to talk about the air team that has won 3 consecutive games recently. The host looked at the 2 guests and said, OE won 4, drew 6 and lost 6 in the first half of the 2003/2004 season, finished 14th out of 18 teams and half a foot in the relegation zone. In the second half, OE achieved a headwind turnaround, and after 3 big wins, he scored a total of 28 points, jumping from 14th to 7th. If this momentum continues, is it possible for the O team to break into the promotion zone? Kepke thought for a moment, shook his head and said, it is unlikely that the Bundesliga will be in the top 2 in the Bundesliga. Successfully upgrading to Bundesliga means that you can pay a high Bundesliga broadcast fee. But you can see that the competition above the standings is very anxious, and there are only 5 points left between the 7th and 14th points. This also shows the fierce competition in the Bundesliga league, with every Bundesliga team trying to do their best to upgrade to the Bundesliga. Every team is doing their best and the winner has to be the best. The host nodded, muttered, and looked at another guest, Basler. Basler looked at the information in his hand and said, now you look at the top 4 in the list, Oberhausen 11 wins, 5 draws, 4 losses and 38 points, Koppes 10 wins, 5 draws and 5 losses 35 points, Aachen 10 wins, 4 draws and 7 losses 34 points, Nuremberg 9 wins, 6 draws and 5 losses 33 points. It's only 14 games away from the end of the season and it's too hard to catch up with them. And what followed was 4 consecutive Devils fixtures. The host then said, let me tell you about the next game for the OE. The match on February 22nd, round 21, OE at home to Aachen, number 3 on the list, is a difficult opponent. On February 28th, the 22nd round, away to Nuremberg, number 4 on the list, is also a difficult opponent, but also an away game. The home advantage of the Bundesliga is very large. On March 7th, round 23, away to Mainz, number 3 on the list. On March 14th, round 24, away to Oberhausen, number 1 on the list. 4 consecutive rounds, 4 of the top 4 in the standings, and 3 games away, which is the Devils' schedule. Basler nodded and said, yes, if you can win 2 of these games, then there is still a glimmer of chance, but in my opinion, it's too hard. The difference between the promoted teams in the Bundesliga and the bottom teams is really too big. At this time, Ryan sat down next to Su Long and said unconvincingly, what's impossible? There are still 14 rounds of games now. This guy can't even play the ball in the national team, so let's say we Ori. Su Long said curiously, is he famous? At this time, the host suddenly shifted the topic to the players. The biggest contributor to OE's 3 consecutive wins is the new Dragon Country young player Su this season. Can you rate Su? Koepke, let's talk about it first. Koepke thought about it and said, actually, I didn't watch his game, but from the data point of view, he is already a great young player. The Bundesliga debut hat-trick, the second is still a hat-trick, the third game although there is no hat-trick, but it is still a goal and an assist. What do you want me to evaluate? Then Koepke looked at Basler and said, Basler, did you try such a crazy performance when you were in Bundesliga? Basler smiled and said, I have to admit that this number 9 Su is very good, but it is only 3 games, and it is too early to make up his mind. The intensity of the game now is far less than when we were playing, and I have seen that in these 3 games, the opponents are the teams that are the bottom of the Bundesliga. The Dragon Nation players have also come to our Germany a few times before, and from my observation, they play well against the weak. But as soon as the intensity of the game went up, they were weak and overwhelmed. Basler is notoriously grumpy, and as the only player in Bundesliga history to have won the top scorer as a midfielder, he does not take the Dragon players seriously. Su Long's consecutive hat-tricks were, in Basler's view, abusive. The host's eyes lit up. He was waiting for such argumentative words. Basil, are you saying he doesn't live up to his name? Basler shook his head and said, he has just entered professional football, he has not yet become famous. What is not worthy of the name? Let's talk about it after playing this season. It's not that we've never seen players who have a sudden burst of games and can only be stable for a season. And it's just the Bundesliga, and the media is too fond of touting it now. The host is happy, so much of a great genius as Basler, and tonight the show will definitely be on fire. Su Long was stunned for a moment, looking at the talking Basler on the TV. He didn't mess with this guy, right? Ryan advised Su Long, Su, don't care what he says, he has no brains. Our Emperor Beckenbauer has said that the following parts of his neck are world-class, and the ones above his neck are county-level. Su Long looked strange. Where did he seem to hear this? Episode 46. During training the next day, Golder also talked about the standings. After 3 consecutive wins, we are already 7th in the table at OE. We OEer fans might wish we could sprint to see if we can get into the top 2 to upgrade to the Bundesliga. But what I want to say is, don't be too ambitious, don't think about upgrading or not upgrading. Our task this season is relegation, and now it seems that relegation is no problem, so we will strive to be upstream. The top 2 in the standings, we were too much behind before, we don't need to pursue it in particular, just play our own game. Again, put all your attention on the upcoming game. On February 21st, our home game against Aachen was the most important thing. Then, after a brief explanation of the team's plans, Gerd started training again. In fact, after 3 consecutive wins, Golder has set his sights on the top 2 of the table. In the Bundesliga team, who does not have the dream of promotion to the first division. Although Golder himself felt that the hope was very slim, there was still a glimmer of opportunity. What if it works? In order to fight for this glimmer of opportunity, Gerd has recently worked overtime every night to study tactics. But he wasn't going to put too much pressure on his players so quickly. It's only February, more than 3 months before the end of the season, and there are still 14 rounds of competition. Tell them now that our new goal this season is to race for the top 2 and upgrade to the Bundesliga, so that the pressure will overwhelm them. That's why Golder said that relegation is OE's goal this season. The most important thing now is to get through the next 4 games safely. If you can win 3 of them, the probability that OE will end up in the top 2 will be greatly increased. If you want to win 3 of them, then the first game, at home against Aachen, is crucial. That's why Golder said to focus all his attention on the match against Aachen. In the last game, in fact, OE's response to the bus tactics of the Berlin United was not good. The Berlin Union was very weak, relying on the hard power of Su Long alone, and it was okay to forcibly tear through the opposite defensive line. But in the next game, if Aachen also puts up the bus, play as badly as the last team, I am afraid the result will be very bad. So the focus of Giold's training this week is on the passing of the attack, training the cooperation of the players when attacking, and using the passing of the ball by the players to crack the defensive counterattack tactics. In the office, Golder and assistant coach Eller, as well as young coach Webb, were discussing tactics. The next tactical adjustment is centered on Su Long. First, Gerder set the tone for tactical adjustments. Weber looked at Mr. Golder in surprise and said, "Mr. Gold, isn't that okay? Kuntz is the captain striker, and if you downplay his tactical position, I'm afraid it will cause him to be dissatisfied and thus ruin the chemistry in the team." L disagreed. "Have you watched the last 3 games? For OE, it is indeed Su Long who is more important, and I think Kuntz himself knows it." Golder knocked on the table and said, "Webb, I understand your concerns. I didn't lower the status of Quins, just improve the status of Su Long. Kuntz is still an arrow of attack, but now our team has 2 arrows. You see these 3 games, the 2 of them have a good cooperation." L smiled and said, "Who doesn't want to score? Su Long is in the case. Kuntz is better to score. He is not a child, he knows the trade-offs." Webb shook his head and said, "But we also have to be careful about the stability of the locker room." Golder nodded and said, "Well, Webb, you have a good opinion, but we are the first priority to win. Let's move on. What are your good ideas about the bus tactics of the Berlin United in the last game?" In the first half of the 17 rounds, without Su Long, he played 1 win, 7 draws, and 6 losses. After Su Long came, he won all 3 games. Gerd is very clear that the key to cracking lies in Su Long's body. As for other issues, you can give way. He also believes that Kuntz, as the captain, will understand the big picture. Otherwise he wouldn't have been the captain. Gold's plan is good, but surprises always come unexpectedly. During training on Thursday, when the main center-back René warmed up, he had a groin strain and needed a month of rest. When Golder heard the news, he had a headache. René's injury further reduced the defensive ability of the team's back line, and in a month's time, it coincided with the time when OER needed to play a hard battle the most. The results of the next 4 games largely determined whether OE could be promoted to the first division this season. The roof leaked during the overnight rain, and 3 hours before the start of the game, the main midfielder Ryan slipped while taking a shower at home, falling to the tail-keel bone fracture, requiring at least 2 months of recuperation. He was injured just before the game, which caused Gerd a lot of headaches. In particular, Ryan's absence has greatly reduced the attack and defense of the midfield. And the 2 substitutes in midfield are very weak. Gobe, 19, is thin and has poor confrontation and doesn't have many opportunities to play. Chip, 25 years old, defensive midfielder, very short in height, only 1.7 m, poor air defense, this season is also basically no chance to play. Such a situation is a very demoralizing of the team. In the dressing room, Su Long could feel the change in atmosphere. It's less than 2 hours away from the match against Aachen, and it's hard to make tactical adjustments. Su Long frowned and decided to simulate a football career to see. Do you use the football career simulator? Use once to spend 100 achievement points. Yes. In 2004, when you were 18 years old, you were officially promoted to the home team of OE, and at the end of the season, you became the top scorer in the Bundesliga with 26 goals, and the OE team scored 4th, failing to upgrade to the Bundesliga. Su Long's worries still happened, this time René and Ryan's successive injuries, causing the butterfly effect, and the next season can only rank 4th, and the promotion failed. It is likely that the next 4 games were lost. From then on, your football career is completely over. Your current physical attribute 40, technical attribute 38, spiritual attribute 38. Choose one of the 4 options below. 25-year-old physical attributes, score 41. 28-year-old technical attributes, score 39. 28-year-old mental attributes, score 38. 33-year-old life experience. Su Long took a look at the attributes in the option. After 16 years of football, the physical attributes were only increased by 1 point, the technical attributes were only increased by 1 point, and the mental attributes were simply not improved. As I had guessed before, my current strength, staying in the Bundesliga, for a long time, has no room for improvement. After playing this season and getting all the achievements you can get, it's time to go to a higher league. Choose a 33-year-old life experience. This important moment of football career moments instantly flooded into Su Long's mind. In his 16-year football career, he became the god of war in the Bundesliga, and he was a top scorer of the year with more than 20 goals and 30 goals from time to time. Such an experience was repeated in Su Long's mind, and Su Long had a feeling that he could not say it. Very cool. But after this coolness, there is a bit of emptiness and regret. Because it is only the god of war of the Bundesliga, above the Bundesliga, there is also the Bundesliga. On top of the Bundesliga, there are also Europa League and Europa Cup. There are also Olympic Games and World Cup worldwide. This football career was trapped in the shallow pool of the Bundesliga League. After watching this life experience, Su Long is more certain that he will leave OE after this season. In the last paragraph of the flashback of his football career, Su Long also saw a clip of 4 consecutive Devil fixtures. As Su Long guessed, the results of these 4 games led to the defeat of the O team in the Bundesliga. The Devils' schedule 0 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses, only 2 points. In the final standings, OE finished 4th with 54 points, and Bielefeld was only 2 points away from the second place in the standings. Su Long's mind recalled the fragments of these 4 games, hoping to find a solution from the fragments. On March 14, round 24, away to Oberhausen, I was injured in the match due to fatigue in the previous 3 matches, and this match was lost 3-1. There is nothing to see in this game, mainly the first 3 games, I have played it completely. On March 7, round 23, away to Mainz, Mainz posed a crazy offensive 433 formation, although I scored a hat-trick, but I couldn't stop my teammates from frantically sending heads. On February 28, the 22nd round, Nuremberg put on a defensive counterattack similar to that of Berlin United. OE was numbed by the counterattack. He scored 2 goals in the first half. If it were not for my hat-trick, OE would have lost this game. In the 22nd of the match, the 21st round of matches, Aachen was still a defensive counterattack tactic, because Jank was absent, resulting in the midfield could not protect the ball, often in the midfield was broken, could not organize the attack, and was easy to be counterattacked. After watching it, Su Long couldn't help but complain, teammates are also too pitted, hat-tricks can't save the world. Episode 47, isn't it just a Bundesliga match, there must be a solution. Su Long carefully recalled the clip of the match against Aachen, and after a while, his eyes suddenly lit up. Substitute Jank started with Chip. Chip defense is okay, but the pass control is very poor, the ball in the midfield is difficult to pass well, it is difficult to pass out, the ball cannot pass in midfield, the attack cannot be up. However, Su Long scored twice in the first game, one of which was scored by Chip after the front and then split the ball for Su Long. At this time, Coach Golder said, Chip, you start in place of Ryan, perform well. Su Long hurriedly said, wait. Gerd looked at Su Long and said, Su, what's wrong? Do you have any other comments? If anyone else, Golder would have let him roll. But Su Long was different. If Su Long had other ideas, Gerd was willing to listen. Su Long was just thinking about how to crack this defeated ending. When he heard that Gerd had begun to arrange personnel, he subconsciously called out. In fact, he did not think about it. But now that everyone was looking at him, he could only say his reasons with a straight face. I think I can move Chip's position to the striker's position. Kuntz frowned, and Jank said directly, Su, don't you make a fuss, you let Chip shoot? Su Long shook his head and said, no, there are too many people in the midfield, Chip's footwork is not refined enough, the ball is not good, and the control is not good, only defense can play a role, but move his position to the forward position, he can receive the pass in front, and he can also defend. Gerd took Su Long's words and said, it is to receive the pass in front, to fight for the opposite backline, to put pressure on the opposite backline, to be a defensive striker, it seems to be okay. Genius idea, Su, do you want to retreat to the front of the back and swap with Chip? Everyone was shocked. Su Long's nonsense, the head coach actually accepted? Su Long was also shocked, he was confused, and Gerd actually understood? This old man has something. Gold seemed to like Su Long's suggestion, still muttering to himself, Aachen's defenders are not high, belong to the speed type, Chip can try it, he has speed, can actively fight in the front, giving Su Long more room to take the ball. As he spoke, Gerd looked at Chip and said, Chip, do you understand what I'm saying? Chip said a little nervously, Mr. Gold, I kind of understand, that is, I am in the front, but I am still doing the same work I did in the midfield, right? Gerd nodded and said, yes, you have to fight your opponent in the front, you have to intercept your opponent, make the opposite backline uncomfortable, and you have to run back and forth, and even return to the penalty area to defend. On attack you're a stopover, catch the ball and pass it. You mainly look at where Su Long is. You come to protect Su Long. Chip immediately said, understood, Mr. Gold. Everyone is dumbfounded, is this really arranged? Kuntz patted Chip and said, well, just listen to Mr. Gold's instructions and do your part. Chip nodded violently. Kuntz is the captain and the most prestigious player on the team, the locker room boss, and his recognition is equivalent to the recognition of the whole team. Chip thought in his heart that he must seize the opportunity and perform well in this game. Gerd took out the tactical board and said, Chip, listen, you are in this position, when you hold the ball opposite, squeeze the space of the opposite defender and don't let them carry the ball easily, understand? When attacking, you act as a fulcrum, give Kuntz, pass the ball to Su Long, don't play by yourself. Chip nodded violently. Originally Chip was used to doing dirty work, and Gold's request was a matter of course for Chip. In the away locker room, Aachen coach Borg said to the players, OE's strength, you have seen it in the friendly match, their strength is not at all as bad as the outside world says. Be careful, and be vigilant. Don't think OE is easy to solve, don't be careless. Don't let the opposing double striker catch the ball easily. This game, we have to win. The players said in unison, "Yes, Mr. Borg." Soon, players from both sides came out of the locker room and came to the pitch to warm up. The fans on the sidelines cheered, and there were still 30 minutes before the start of the game, but many fans had already arrived at the scene. OE's recent winning streak has made many OE fans come to support it, and even fans have shouted the slogan of upgrading the Bundesliga. Rare occurrences of more than 90% attendance at the main course. In addition to the banner of OE cheering, there are several places on the sidelines where the red Dragon Country flag is hung, which are all Dragon Country fans nearby. Soulong's OE team became the home of fans in the country of DeLong. Amid the huge cheers of the fans, the game began. The Aachen side serves first. After serving, the midfielder in Aachen saw the number 22 player on the opposite side pounce like a mad dog, immediately turned to protect the ball and kicked the ball to the teammate behind. Then the number 22 turned and pounced on the player behind him holding the ball. This number 22, it is Chip, who got the starting opportunity. As soon as he played, he was very desperate and did not skimp on his physical strength. Although Chip did not grab the ball and did not cause mistakes on the opposite side, it made the opposite side very uncomfortable. And although this wave did not make a mistake, Chip laid the groundwork in this scramble, in the next few scrambles. The game played for 10 minutes, and neither side showed up a good chance. Dowd on the sidelines looked at Chip on the field and felt a little nervous. Although he felt that Soulong's suggestion was a stroke of genius, when it came time for the real game, he saw that there was no improvement after 10 minutes, and he was also worried in his heart. On the other side, Aachen coach Borg frowned. From the start of the game, Borg felt that something was wrong with the O team. After watching the game for 10 minutes, Borg finally realized that something was wrong. "You guys," a number 22 new face, went to kick the forward position, and Captain Koons formed the two arrows of the 442 tactics. And he was very optimistic, and the Soulong who wanted to buy it back was actually changed to the front waist position. It's a raging creature. Sue has an excellent sense of smell in front of the goal, the same excellent shooting skills, far beyond the physique and speed of ordinary players, and also has a vision that ordinary players do not have, is the perfect all-round forward, and it is really a waste to change to playing forward. Borg was just feeling sorry for Soulong when his eyes suddenly widened and he stood up. "I saw that Chip of the 22nd team of O once again rushed to the defender of the Aachen team with the ball, and the two defenders of the other side made a mistake when passing back." Soulong had already seen possible problems in the opposing backline when Chip pounced on it. After the opposing number 5 defender passed the ball to the number 6 defender, he immediately pulled away, and did not expect that the number 6 defender was forced by Chip and immediately returned the pass. The distance between the two defenders is a little bigger than before, and the strength of the number 6 is not enough. And that's not the deadliest one. The deadliest part of the number 6 defender was not here, but after he turned around, he did not pay attention to the surrounding situation. Just as the number 6 defender turned to protect the ball, Soulong had already stepped forward to intercept the number 6 defender's pass. Coupled with the lack of strength of the return pass, the pass was suddenly intercepted by Soulong, who was inserted in front. The on-site commentary is going to roar out, "Oh my god. This. Sue intercepted successfully, no one can stop Sue. Sue enters the forbidden area. Shoot. Go Ale. Scored. Wonderful steals. Wonderful goals, oh my god." Sue continued his excellent performance. Sue scored. In the 10th minute, OE opened the record. Oh my god, who would have thought that Sue would be in this position and successfully judge the mistakes of the Aachen team? Between the two defenders, cut off their passes, then face the goalkeeper and calmly push the ball into the far corner. So calm. Only 17 years old has such a killer instinct, and next season, he will be in the top 5 leagues. I would say that this time the number 6 Lansat of the Aachen team made too many mistakes. Sue's goal was perfect, but the Aachen backline really didn't know what to say. Lansat covered his head with both hands, a look of chagrin. How could this be? Soulong shook his arm and shouted. "Goal scored." Explained that their arrangement was correct. "The crisis of the main injury has been resolved." Soulong took the initiative to walk over to Chip and said, "Well done, just do it." Half of the credit for this goal is Chip's scramble. It's not Chip's scramble, and it won't make the number 6 player on the other side turn and pass the ball. Although it is not reflected in the data, it is indeed the credit of Chip. For the diligent teammates, Soulong felt that he should encourage them. Kuntz, along with his teammates, rushed up to celebrate the goal. The OE fans on the sidelines waved large banners and sang the unknown OE song. The red dragon flag was also flying. Aachen head coach Borg, who was still sorry for Soulong half a minute ago, could not speak now, and finally jumped out a sentence, "It's really bad luck." Although Borg was not convinced, but he looked at the situation on the field, Aachen was really completely suppressed. The arrangement of the number 22 on the opposite side in the forward position really seems to be a stroke of genius. His scramble made Aachen very uncomfortable, and in the Bundesliga, it is rare to have such a striker who does not care about physical strength. And Su Long's retreat to the front waist position did not seem to affect his attack, but covered a wider area. Borg looked at the chasing chip, and in his mind, a word came to mind. Defensive striker. Defensive front? Is there such a ghost thing in the Bundesliga? Episode 48, for consecutive victories. Gerd applauded from the sidelines. Su Long was really his own lucky general. I didn't expect to change a little bit to bring such a big change to the team. The fans on the sidelines had been singing for only 10 minutes, and the fans of OE believed that this was just the beginning, and Su Long would never let him down. The players of the Asian Deep team, who came from afar, in this huge cheer, were like boats in a storm. The wind and rain were shaking. Due to Chipu's fierce scrambling, it led to forward pressure from Kuntz and Su Long. In order to protect the ball, the overall formation of the Asian scouts contracted backwards, resulting in the ball being unable to come out in the second half. After Su Long's goal, the Asian detective team has been defending like a turtle and has not formed a good counterattack, mainly because Chip's back-and-forth fight regardless of physical strength has destroyed the organization of the Asian team. Borg, the head coach of the Asian detectives, frowned on the sidelines. Where did the OE team find the mad dog? He looked at Chip's number 22 shirt and suddenly remembered that number 22 was usually the number of the back bench. He used the back as a forward, and it had such a good effect. In the 37th minute, Chip tried to grab the ball, which provoked Yahuan's number 6 defender, who directly knocked Chip down. Kuntz immediately rushed up and pushed number 6 away. "Hey, what are you doing? What do you mean? Be careful." The players on the Asian detective side also hurriedly separated the number 6. Su Long hurriedly picked up Chipra. "How's it going?" Chip shook his head and grinned. "It's all right." The other side is angry, proving that they panicked. Su Long nodded. The referee didn't give cards, just gave a free kick, not far from the box. The O team finally had a decent attack, and the on-site commentary also raised the spirit. "It's up to Jank to take this free kick." The ball was too right and was blocked by the goalkeeper. But the goalkeeper butterhand. The ball fell in front of Chip. Chip shot no, he passed. He passed to the foot of Su Long next to him, and Su Long picked it up with one foot. Su Long was dumbfounded. He had thought that Chip had shot it, but he didn't expect Chip to pass it on to himself. He didn't react at all, and his feet subconsciously took a bucket and entered. But in retrospect, Chip's ball was really a good ball. The goalkeeper was right in front of Chip, and Chip's shot wasn't too angled enough to get paved out. And Su Long is facing an empty door. With a gentle push of the foot, the precise shooting characteristics are triggered, and the method is obtained. Su Long was pushed out by his teammates in the penalty area. "Su, that's good. Scored. You've got 2 balls. 2-0. Su. Goals. Su. Goals." The fans on the sidelines were chanting Su Long's name. Li Qing, a special reporter of Sports Weekly, also came to the scene today to watch the game, and his red lips opened slightly. She studied in Leipzig and occasionally helped write for the Sports Weekly. Curious about the young man who scored wildly, he came over to watch the game. In the half game, Su Long's performance on the court conquered her. "What a handsome little guy. Is this our young player in Dragon Country? Only 17 years old? Go wild in a group of 25-year-old, 35-year-old professional players." At this time, Li Qing found that his previous impression of Su Long was underestimated. Li Qian has watched many team games in Germany, and Xia Hui and Yang Chen, who have stayed in Germany to play football before, have watched the games. All 3 are forwards, and it is clear that Su Long is 1 line higher than the 2 outside the room. Such a player is unknown in China? The head coach of the Asian ring team on the sidelines was angrily scolding, and immediately called the substitute defender to warm up and replace the number 6 defender. After that, the Asian scouts performed a little better, organizing several threatening shots on the OER side and several threatening shots, but none of them scored. Just as first half stoppage time was nearing the end, Chip, who was scrambling ahead, suddenly fell to his feet. Su Long was closest to him, and he hurried up to see what was going on. "What's wrong?" "It's okay, I'm cramping." Su Long saw Chip grit his teeth, pull his foot, and get back on his feet. His clothes were soaked, and the man was sweating profusely, and he saw how he had done his best for the past 145 minutes. At this time, the referee blew the whistle and the first half ended. Su Long helped Chip back to the bench. Gerd patted Chip's shoulder and said, "Well done, don't get hurt in the second half." "Yes, Mr. Gold." Chip actually still wants to play, but think about it, since the head coach said so, he can't say no. Golder glanced back at the bench. Who will replace Chip? 19-year-old Gobe? Forget it, offensive midfield, too thin, touch it and fall. Now what is looking for is a replacement player for Chip. Be tough, be desperate. Golder looked at the defender and his eyes froze. Oh, and the defender too. The defender is tough enough and used to scramble. Golder immediately thought of Willie, a 34-year-old veteran defender, who was the strongest man on the team. "Willie, you play for Chip in the second half." When Willie heard Gold's words, his eyes lit up and he quickly said, "Good coach." At the start of the second half, Willie came on as a substitute for Chip. After only 5 minutes, Golder was in possession. Willie's performance was completely wrong. The ball reached Willie's feet, Willie didn't know how to pass the ball, and there were 2 mistakes in just 5 minutes. And didn't go up and fight like Chip, standing silly where he was. "Willie, go up and fight." Willie was stunned for a moment and rushed up to fight it, but after going up, he ignored where the ball passed and kept staring at the original player. Kuntz saw Willie like this, frowned, and said, "Willie, you can't do this. You've got to run back and forth to grab it." Willie immediately said unconvincedly, "That's not my problem. That player is in charge of the people behind you." Kuntz said angrily, "What's my question? Do you see how Chip kicked?" Willie still said unconvincedly, "I've tried my best. You have to respect me." Su Long heard this not far away and almost couldn't help but laugh. Everywhere there is such a respectful party, relying on their own qualifications and relying on the old to read the old. As soon as Golder looked at Willie, he knew what was going on. This veteran player has his own qualifications, and on the field he does not obey the captain's persuasion to be replaced. "You have to change your business immediately." Golder looked around the bench and immediately saw Steven Kokel, a young defender on loan from Bundesliga side Stuttgart. As a defender, he was too young, inexperienced, had a poor defensive position and was prone to fouls. But as a substitute for the defensive striker in this game, Golder suddenly felt that Kokel was a good fit. His body is very hard, his speed is also one of the best in the team, and he also has foot movements. The most important thing is that he usually has a good training attitude, dares to rush and fight, and obeys discipline. "Kokel, come here." Kochelton came over hopefully. "Mr. Gold, do you call me?" Goldie D patted Kokel and said, "Did you see Willie?" Kokel nodded and said, "Coach, I must have played like Willie." Gelder gritted his teeth and said, "If you catch the ball in front of you like Willie and don't pass it, I'll replace you immediately." Kokel immediately went to the position and said, "Coach, I was wrong, I wouldn't play like that." "Did you see what Chip did on the field?" Kokel nodded violently. "In the first half, Kokel did it, you did it, fought back and forth, chased the ball like a mad dog. Do you understand? Keep an eye on your teammates and opponents around you and be ready to pass the ball at all times. Do you understand?" Kokel immediately said, "Got it, Mr. Jord." Chip sat not far away, hearing Gold's words, crying and laughing, "Mr. Coach, are you really good at calling me a mad dog like this?" Soon, taking advantage of the dead ball, Golder replaced Willie off the field. Willie saw the referee on the sidelines holding up a light sign to replace himself, and his face was ugly. "I've been playing in the Bundesliga, Kuntz doesn't give me face, the manager doesn't give me face, I can't stay here." Willie went off the court and replaced Kokel on the court, and Willie 763 returned to the bench without saying anything. Goldie D glanced at Willie and didn't say anything. Originally, he thought Willie was a smart man, but he didn't expect to sit on the bench for half a season, or an arrogant old churro. Oh, he doesn't need such old churros. In just 10 minutes of playing time, Golder has sentenced Willie to death for the next game, and if the defender is not dead, he is not going to use Willie again. The vacant seat after Chip left the court was already a second team. Su Long also didn't know how this new young player was. After 5 minutes, Su Long was slightly relieved. At least this cockle scramble attitude is much better than the old guy before. Ken fought back and forth, sharing Su Long's defensive pressure, so that Su Long could return to midfield with peace of mind. In the 79th minute, the liberated Su Long made another move. Su Long successfully counter-snatched at the back, and after 4 consecutive kick passes, the ball once again came to Su Long's feet. Su Long strode away from the meteor and then kicked out a small arc with his left foot. Su's long-range shot. The ball hit the arm of the Asian ring defender, refracted it again, and hung straight into the far corner of the opponent's goal. Before the opposing goalkeeper could react with a save, the ball was already in. Go Ale. It's in. Scored. Oh my god. What do I see? I saw Su alone pick the sub-detective backline. Sue is wearing a hat again today. Hat trick. Congratulations, Sue. 3-0, OE's best signings this season. No, the best signings of the Bundesliga this season. Number 9 Sue from the mysterious East. The fans are cheering Sue Long's last name. Sue. 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 In the 89th minute, the Asian Ring team scored a comforting goal. 3-1. OE team won 4 consecutive games. Fans cheered across the sky. There are even beauty fans who throw their clothes out. Episode 49, 4th. Of the standings, avid winning streaks, fanatical games, fanatical female fans. Until the end of the game, the enthusiasm of OE fans continued. 4 consecutive wins, and today is a revelry for the fans. Many OE fans have seen various comments about OE this week. From the Saxony soccer program to the Kickers press, almost all voices said it would be difficult for OE to win the next 4 matches. And today's game in OE gave them a hard slap. In the dressing room, Sue Long patted Chip's shoulder and said, "Play well, the next game continues." Chip looked at Sue Long gratefully, although Sue Long was only 17 years old and much younger than him, but Chip was very convinced of Sue Long in his heart. At the end of the day, football speaks with strength. Now Sue Long is the team's chief attacker and is taking them flying, and now Sue Long is right in everything he says. On the other side, the young General Cockle also chatted with Kuntz to watch the sky. Kuntz smiled and said, "Good today. The only problem is that you observe the surroundings or less, whether you have the ball or not. Always observe where your teammates are and in which direction they are running, so that you can pass the ball." Cockle nodded. "But don't worry, we'll be familiar with it this week." Kuntz knew that in the games that followed, Chip and Cockle were important to our. Sue Long came out of the locker room, was interviewed by the kicker, and today changed a short hair and a full silk sister. "Sue, congratulations on hat-tricking again." Sue Long smiled and said, "Well, thanks to my teammates for their support. Without them, there is no goal for me, and thanks to the head coach and the coaching team for designing tactics overnight. Their tactics are very good." The little sister looked at Sue Long with a silky eye, and her red lips opened slightly. "Oh, are you deliberately doing a new tactic? What kind of tactics can I briefly talk about?" Sue Long smiled and said, "You will know it when you watch the game, and I can't say it clearly." Last question, Sue. On Monday night on Saxony Soccer, Kepke and Basler weren't optimistic about your next game, predicting that it would be hard to win 2 of those 4 games. You responded to them with a big win today. What do you think of their predictions? This blonde girl is digging a pit for herself to pull hatred. Sue Long would certainly not be so stupid as to lead the battle. He smiled and said, "Oh, I see with my eyes." After saying that, Sue Long slipped away. The blonde lady was stunned for a moment, and suddenly felt that this little handsome guy was really too interesting. On the 3rd day, the kicker published the interview. In the face of doubt, Sue said that you should open your eyes and see clearly. After Sue Long finished training, he also saw this interview report, and he was suddenly speechless. Nima, and the golden retriever sister still stabbed herself back. "What I said was that I looked with my eyes," and she wrote that she made the doubters look at it with their eyes wide open, and the meaning changed completely. These football journalists are really inappropriate people. The good Saxony soccer program team felt that this could make a hot topic, so they once again invited former international Kepke and former international Base. Lou participates in the new edition of Saxony soccer. Basler is grumpy and has a topic, and Kepke happened to be a Nuremberg player in OE's next match. In the Saxony soccer program, the host continued the discussion on the topic of Sue Long and OE in the previous issue. "Basler, did you see the report about Sue Long? What do you think of what he said to keep those skeptics open their eyes?" Basler heard the host's words and said, "Sue Long's report? I don't know what the situation is." The host looked at Basler in surprise and said, "Oh my God, you don't know? Don't you read the newspaper?" Basler shook his head and said, "You know, I've been busy lately, busy starting a business, running my own football studio, so I haven't paid much attention to the news of the Bundesliga." The host sighed and said, "Then what do you think of Sue as a young player?" Basler shook his head and said, "He's a good player, but I'm not very familiar with it." The host asked again, "Do you mean you don't know him?" Basler hurriedly said, "No, I know him as a person, but I am not familiar with him. Please, don't dig a hole for me." The host laughed and said, "I didn't dig a pit, I just think you don't pay attention to a super newcomer like Sue." Basler also laughed and said, "Shouldn't it be Bayern Munich, a Bundesliga team like Dortmund, who cares about Sue? But then again, Sue is only 17 years old, and I'm not very optimistic that he can adapt to the rhythm of the Bundesliga." As for the Aachen game, 3-1, hat-trick, all illustrate Sue's strength. However, at home and away are completely different, followed by 3 consecutive away games in Nuremberg, Mainz and Oberhausen. I am still not very optimistic about our Ferk next to him agreed, unless Su gives us another hat trick, but this is obviously impossible. This episode of Saxony Soccer was undoubtedly a success, with a rating of 1.7 on the day, the highest of the year for the show. It also caused a scolding battle among OE fans and Nuremberg fans. O fans say Su can score both at home and away, and Regensburg's hat trick away speaks for itself. Nuremberg fans said that Su is a rookie killer, when facing the strong team is a soft-footed crab, vulnerable. This road trip, the whole team will cry home. The argument between the fans of the two teams continued on one side until the beginning of the game. February 27 at 8 p.m. Nuremberg's home stadium, Frankenstadion. The fans were buzzing and everywhere the Nuremberg flag was flying. As a result of the recent scolding battle, the attendance of this match soared, and a large number of Nuremberg fans who came to watch the game came in droves to watch their home team bring the away team crying home. However, as soon as the game began, the fans suddenly fell silent, followed by a huge wave of booing. The on-site commentary is fast and exciting. At the beginning, Su Long received a precise direct pass from Kunz in the big penalty area and pushed it into the net. 1-0. OE took the lead quickly in the third minute and got off to a fantastic start. Nuremberg opened with a big gift. Su Long died surrounded by 5 players on the other side, or sent the ball into the goal. Su Long raised his arms and shouted, and Kuntz and Chip high-fived. Kuntz gave himself an assist, while Chip helped himself block the opposing defender, giving himself valuable shooting time. Nuremberg coach Worf roared from the sidelines, "Follow Su Long. What are you riding on to take care of that number 22? The 22nd of the Tamar will pass the ball to Su Long in the penalty area." Worf's voice, however, was completely drowned out by the boos of Nuremberg fans. Although the Nuremberg players did not hear what Worf was saying, the manager's angry look and 3 minutes of conceding the goal still gave them the spirit of 12 points. In the 16th minute, Nuremberg's side successfully broke the ball and launched a counterattack, and the striker received the ball and fired a long-range shot that was deflected off the bottom line. In the 21st minute, OER also had a chance, and Kunz drove the ball to the front of the box in the middle of the box, and then got up and fired a long-range shot that was deflected. Both OE and Nuremberg have a lot of defensive players in the penalty area. In the 27th minute, Su Long received a cross from Chip and completed a push shot, the same place, the same angle, but the Nuremberg goalkeeper saved the ball and scared the Nuremberg fans into a cold sweat. Su Long shook his head. This time there were 2 players in front of him, limiting the angle of his gate. At the same time, the precision shooting characteristics are that the fewer people there are, the higher the accuracy, and the 2 defensive players still have a great influence on this characteristic. But Su Long didn't care too much. Well, there are always opportunities. However, in the first half, OE couldn't find a better chance. At halftime, OE took a 1-0 lead for the time being. It has to be said that Worf has brought a good defense to Nuremberg, which has conceded the fewest goals this season, conceding an average of 0.6 goals per game. The next step is to see if Nuremberg can tie the score or if OE continues to expand the score. Su Long rested on the bench and thought. This game also seems to be stable. In his last football career, this game was played by 2 goals in the first half, but now his side has a 1-0 lead. The advantages are enormous. Among them, Chip's credit is great, running from the front court many times to the penalty area and destroying the opposite attack. The second half started quickly, the battle song sounded again on the sidelines, the flag of Nuremberg flew, the fans did not give up, Nuremberg still had a chance. In the 57th minute, Chip fell down in the box and the referee did not show any indication. Then, Chip cramped on the ground and couldn't get up. Nuremberg took advantage of Chip's cramps and launched a counterattack, but the final shot was held by OE goalkeeper Petkov. That's when Chip was replaced. The fans immediately cheered when they saw Chip being replaced. The number 22 mad dog that ran all over the field is finally out. However, what they didn't expect was that the newly replaced number 24 was also a mad dog. In the 75th minute, there was a mistake in the Nuremberg backline, and Su Long broke the ball between the 2 defenders. My God, a big mistake in the Nuremberg backline. Su broke the ball. This ball seems to be similar. Su then went straight to the penalty area, and Kuntz's single knife after receiving the ball was saved. Hey! Su, go AL. It's Su's shot in front of the goal again. What a perfect performance. Nuremberg's back line is like a clown in front of him. Even if the mistake is made, the final makeup shot is not interfered with? Su Long celebrated with open arms, greeted the boos of the fans, and then high-fived Cockle. Nuremberg's mistake just now was the cooperation of Su Long and Cockle. Although it is not reflected in the data, the credit is great. Nuremberg played 75 minutes of the back line, and there was still a gap under the impact of Chip and Cockle again and again. It just so happened that this gap was caught by Su Long and recognized. Nuremberg was 2-0 behind, and it was too late for Coach Walker to make a substitution. 94 minutes, 4 minutes of stoppage time, the score is still 0-2. OE scored 3 points away from home. After the results of the simultaneous match came out, the OE team had 34 points and was already in 4th place. The O fans watched TV at home and cheered. Episode 50, Manchester United 3 Gumalu, the king of brokers Mendes. Who would have thought that a team that was in the relegation zone 2 months ago is now 4th in the table? If this momentum continues, is it an upgrade to the Bundesliga? Fans didn't dare to imagine it before, but now it doesn't seem impossible. Su Long followed the team bus back to OE, and just got off the bus, he was surrounded by crazy women's ball fans. Su, I love you. Su, you sign me on the ball, on. Not the ball, it's this, the ball. The female fans were so enthusiastic that Su Long almost couldn't go back to the dormitory. Back at the dormitory, Su Long found that there were several lipstick marks on his face. It's crazy. In Frankfurt, a reporter with good deeds crouched in front of the former international footballer Basler's home, and when he saw Basler come out, he immediately asked, "Basler, you are practicing for the Chinese name test on February 27th. Basler looked ugly, ignored the reporter, got into the car, and drove away. Nuremberg is really a bunch of crap. Basler is angry, Nuremberg, you are so weak, you even lost at home. This time, in order to prove his judgment right, Basler also bought a bet of £10,000 to win more than 1 goal at home to Nuremberg. I didn't expect Nuremberg to be so vulnerable. Today, Basler is going to the Saxony Soccer Program Group again. He did not want to go, but the Saxony Soccer Program Group gave too much money. At 5 p.m., it was still the Saxony State Soccer Program. This time, the guest was Bastille, as well as football special commentator UBN. Hello everyone, welcome to Saxony Soccer. Basler is familiar to everyone, and a new friend, UBN. He is a retired former international and a special commentator for soccer. UBN waved at the camera. The two talked about the Bundesliga, and soon the topic reached the Bundesliga, about OE and Sully. The host smiled and said, "Basler, now you know how good Su is, right?" Basler spread his hands and said, "I've always said he's great, but I still have to say that I'm not optimistic that O is the big winner in the end." UBN immediately retorted, "That's because you haven't seen Su playing, he's just another Ronaldo, you know?" The host smiled and said, "UBN, you are a Su fan, you have written 2 reviews about Su in football, you compare him with Ronnie. Do you think he really has such strength?" UBN shrugged and said, "Isn't that obvious? He has only been in the Bundesliga for 2 months, played 5 games, scored 13 goals, and averaged 2.6 goals per game, even when Ronnie was 17 years old." Basler shook his head and said, "This is the German 2nd division, not the Dutch 1st division, the difference between the two is too far." UBN said, "The difference is not as big as you think. If you don't believe it, we can make a bet that in the next game, Su will continue to score more than 2 goals. Basler smiled and said, "How do you want to gamble?" The host immediately said, "Oh, our program is a very harmonious program, you two this bet, let's discuss it in private." This episode of the show is still hot. Moreover, the uva bean of Su powder and the basil of Su hay have become a strong contrast. In the Far East, the Tanya forum of the Dragon Kingdom, as well as other football forums, also had a lot of discussion about Su Long. Tanya's post about Su Long has become the hottest series of posts, with an average of over 10,000 replies and more than 1 million visits. There is also a regular section of the Sports Weekly every Monday to report on Su Long's match in OE. As a result, the name Su Long became popular in the circle of Dragon Country fans overnight. Many fans who don't know why they are asking, "Who is Su Long?" After many fans knew that Su Long was only a Bundesliga player, they replied to the post disapprovingly, "Isn't he just a Bundesliga player?" Immediately after that, he said, "Yes, 13 balls is okay, but it is too much to blow." Xiaohui also scored 14 goals in the Bundesliga season. The Bundesliga can't do it. Yongchen has scored 8 goals in the Bundesliga. Su Long's fans said, "You find another Bundesliga player who can score 13 goals in 5 games. Agree upstairs, don't say Dragon Kingdom doesn't, Asia doesn't, there hasn't been such crazy goals in the whole world." There are still 12 games left this season. Even if you score 1 goal in each game, there are 25 goals, and you should be the king of Bundesliga goal scorers. Upstairs pseudo fans, 1 goal per game, do you think it's basketball? Yeah, what's so easy? Hat-tricks also depend on the time and place, and not every game can be done. A few upstairs are not watching the game. Su Long has scored 5 consecutive goals, 3 of which were hat-tricks. Yeah, that's someone else, Su Long for the only one. I bet Su Long won't score in the next game. At the forum, Su Fan and Su Hei were crazy on the line, which ignited Su Long's fame. Agent Su Gao did not expect that Su Long had made such a big move in the Bundesliga, less than half a year in the Bundesliga. 13 goals in 5 games, which is really unprecedented among the Dragon Country players. Su Gao himself often wondered if he should be a future star who signed an Asian football king, right? I just introduced Xiaodong to Manchester United, and now Manchester United has found itself again and wants to sign Su Long. When Shu heard Sir Alex Ferguson's voice on the phone announcing the £5 million transfer fee, Su Ko nearly went into cardiac arrest. £5 million. In fact, Manchester United means that they are willing to pay Su Long's liquidated damages directly. And it was Sir Ferguson's own price, which shows that Sir Ferguson attaches great importance to it. The transfer fee of £5 million is 10 times that of Xiaodong. Manchester United said that it is not the transfer period and can sign the agreement first and pay a deposit of £500,000 first. Su Long finished the season in O and waited until this year's summer transfer period to report to Manchester United. After Su Gao listened to the call, his palms were sweaty. With a transfer fee of £5 million, he can have a commission of £500,000, and Manchester United has promised to give himself £100,000 in promotional funds. Xiao Su is still calm. If he had agreed to join Manchester United, it would certainly not be like this. I don't think our previous foreign strategy was wrong, blindly pursuing big teams. But you can't play in a big team at all, and when Dong goes to Manchester United, he has to play in the first place. It's better to play a season or two like Xiao Su to a team that can have a stable playing time, and the value will not rise. Su Long did not expect that his choice of staying in the ocean for the first time had changed the thinking of the first generation of Dragon Kingdom brokers, and to some extent, changed the entire pattern of staying in the ocean in the future of the Dragon Kingdom. Su Gao deliberated for a while before calling Su Long. "Hey, Su Long?" "That's right," Manchester United sighed. Su Gao told Su Long a lot about Manchester United's sincerity, such as this transfer was personally ordered by Lord Verde, such as the transfer fee of £10 million. Su Long said on the other end of the phone, "Well, I know, I'll think about it." After hanging up the phone, Su Gao shook his head. Su Long is still Su Long, much calmer than Xiaodong. Hearing £5 million is like hearing $500, and not at all moved. At this time, Su Long was chatting with a Portuguese man in a suit and leather shoes in a cafe. The Portuguese smiled and said, "Su, your agent?" Su Long nodded and said, "Yes, Mr. Mendes, where did you just say that?" The Portuguese sitting opposite Su Long is Mendes, the first agent of future football. One of his best-known deals was the £13 million transfer that brought Cristiano Ronaldo to Manchester United last year. I heard that before Mendes took over the transfer of C. Ronaldo almost transferred to other giants for £5 million, and as a result, Mendes transferred to Manchester United at a premium of £13 million as soon as he struck. But Su Long didn't care about the transfer fee, so Mendes' interview was not so attractive to Su Long. If Mendes didn't have anything else to make Su Long's eyes shine, then there would be no chance of meeting again. Mendes looked at the dragon boy in front of him, the hardest young player he had ever seen. Too calm, too composed. And he can't be seduced with money. It's a bit hard not to talk about money. But today Mendes is also prepared. If he can win the Asian rising star in front of him, then his business line, his brokerage kingdom, can expand into Asia. Your agent just brought you news of Manchester United's transfer, right? Su Long nodded and said, "Yes, the transfer fee is £5 million, but I am actually not very interested." Mendes smiled and said, "Really? Su, you're the funniest young player I've ever met, thank you." Mendes continued, "Lord Verde's point is less than the £5 million transfer fee. As far as I know, the reserve price on the United side is £11 million. Su Long nodded and said, "Mr. Mendes, I know you have such ability." Although Su Gao is already a brokerage predator in the Dragon Kingdom, compared with a giant like Mendes, it is really too far away. He has only one channel to work with, only with Manchester United. But I'm different, my network is all over Europe. In the last 2 years in Argentina and Brazil have begun to build networks. I now have hundreds of clubs asking for prices. Sure, what is interesting to you? Also, I know what kind of team you want to go to," Mendes said, showing a sense of confidence. Su Long took a sip of his coffee and said curiously, "Mr. Mendes, please say." Mendes leaned forward, looked at Su Long and said, "If you only have a stable playing time, you can guarantee your core position. It is best to be a manager himself, just like the club like OE now, right, Su? Today I did my homework, and with these conditions, I can also find no less than 10 of the most suitable top European clubs for you to choose." If you transfer to me, I can help you deal with the liquidated damages of the previous brokerage contract. That's the sincerity I bring with me today.